Hey, this is Notser, and we're talking about 0.6.4. There's a public test server that's basically live right now as you're watching this, and Wargaming have suggested that there are going to be some balance tweaks coming, and I'll talk about it. Some of the balance tweaks that will be coming, we're going to be getting a nerfed Khabarovsk. A nerfed Khabarovsk. Now, the Khabarovsk is one of those ships that is so dominant compared to others in its class, it needed a massive nerf. Apparently, they're going to be targeting its maneuverability. And I think that's fair. I think the gun systems are ridiculous. I still don't agree that the gun systems need to be quite that way because the combination of advanced firing training and range is going to still allow you to avoid a lot of shots regardless of your maneuverability. But having great maneuverability allows them to basically tank the equivalent of 2 to 3 potential damage that could be meant for other people. I have seen games, plenty of games, where I have been on the Khabarovsk in the pilot seat, in the captain's chair. Get it right! Gosh, Notser. I've been in the captain's chair, and the enemy can't kill me. They can't do any damage to me. Conversely, I have been firing at a Khabarovsk, and I can't do any damage to it, because it's just so nimble. So I think that's a fair change that Wargaming is targeting. We will know the precise adjustment tomorrow, and I'll either make a video on one of the French cruisers, or I'll make a video on one of the changes in 0.6.4. There's going to be a dry dock, which is awesome. I am really excited for the dry dock, just because it's fun seeing, well, it's fun seeing the undercarriage, if you know what I mean. Anyone who watched Whose Line Is Anyway, they would do like these innuendo bits where they'd be like, you know what I mean? I see what you're doing. And I love the dry dock idea. I'm very excited for that port. It'll probably be my main port from here on out, just because I think it's cool. It's really cool seeing them up out of the water so you can see everything. But past that, okay, so balance changes. They are going to be adjusting the Japanese destroyers and cruisers slightly. They're going to be trying to improve their turret traverse. It's really difficult to control Japanese destroyers and mini cruisers because they have such terrible turret traverse. You are at a disadvantage when you're engaging a lot of targets. It is a huge weakness of destroyers, especially. But even some Japanese cruisers, their rate of fire goes way down because they can't turn their guns. So I'm really interested to see what kind of buff they're going to give. They describe it as a quality of life change, not a balance change. They feel like the Japanese feel good outside of the turret traverse. They just want people to enjoy playing them more often. And, there's a little give and take here. The Japanese are among the most nimble cruisers, and I wouldn't say that about their destroyers, but their cruisers for sure. But how much do we really want to give them? Because limiting their DPS through traversing the turret is sort of a Japanese trait. It's a part of their battleships, a lot of their battleships at least, especially the tier 10. I do think it needs to be improved, but I don't want it to be on the level of maybe the Americans and some of the Soviets and the Germans, where it's like 5 seconds. I mean, 5 seconds are ridiculous. But 10 to 15, that's better than some. Some of them are like 20 seconds. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Legitimately, some Japanese destroyers take 20 seconds to rotate their guns 180 degrees. So that's really bad. But it's a really good adjustment that they're making, and I can't wait. Other things that they're improving, they're going to be adding more characters, 6 to 7 characters rather than 4 to 5 on these little character team panels, so you can actually see their names, which is good for me because with the clan tags, they just get cut off. So I appreciate that. It's kind of awkward in World of Tanks. The team panel can scale to whatever you want. You can scale it up to list their full name, the tank, the name of the tank, the class of the tank. But here we're stuck with a sort of a forced team list that we have no control over. Now I know you can get it in mods or whatever. I appreciate that. But honestly, a lot of the mods are not as clean as the base team list. So that's nice. They're going to be doing some sort of clan tracking where you can have more information for your clans. And you'll be able to follow the, oh, what clan is this person in? You'll be able to right click and go to their clan or something like that. I'm interested to see that. They're also adjusting the way Cyclone works. Now, anyone who's played the game probably has dealt with a Cyclone. It puts a little icon on your screen. It says Cyclone's coming. 5-minute countdown, goes in the Cyclone. It lasts for 10 minutes, 10 seconds. We wish. 10 minutes, and it completely changes the balance of the game. It denies line of sight, and over the course of probably a minute, that line of sight drops. And the only visual representation of that is on the minimap. Well, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be decreasing it gradually rather than in chunks. And they're going to be showing you the exact spotting range on your screen over by the Cyclone icon when it's going off. So it will probably list off 15 kilometer, 14 kilometer, like a slow tick down, I would assume, like a timer. And that would be a very elegant way of informing the player that you are indeed losing vision. This is going to change the balance. And some people who, most people know what a Cyclone does, but a Cyclone really forces you to be in close quarter combat with every type of class. If you can't deal with them in close quarter combat, don't be close to them unless you have numbers. So, we'll see how that works out. Apparently, they're adjusting the level of dynamic lighting in the client. So, some of the visual changes that they're trying to make is make it more weather-focused on some of the maps. More impressive, I guess, is the best term I could use for it. Now, the weather is not going to impact the game. Obviously, Cyclone impacts the game. That's already established in the game. But they're going to be adding some rain. They're going to be improving some of the maps visually. It looks like the new map changes, our hotspot and neighbor, are getting the next changes. And funny enough, hotspot has probably been changed 4 or 5 times now. I remember a version of hotspot where the islands were much closer. It was sort of like a destroyer death trap. Very tight corridor where you had to go through it if you really wanted to take a risk. And I love taking a risk. You can watch the old videos where the map existed in that format. And we basically have had the same visual version of it since. They've updated North, which you can see. The maps in their HD version look great. It's really noticeable, and they're also going to be improving the Tier 10s. The Tier 10s, visually, are going to be improving their rigging. The rigging is always an issue. The Gearing, the Des Moines, the Montana, the Midway, the Zao, the Yamato, Hakiru, the Shimakaze, Moskva, Hindenburg, and the Minotaur are all getting improved rigging, so that'll be nice. I think the game looks great visually. I would like for the game to be able to run a little bit more off of my GPU and my CPU, so it doesn't bog down when there's like aircraft on the screen and all this crap, but what can we do? What can we do? But as far as the balances are concerned, Khabarovsk needed to be nerfed. It needed to be nerfed a lot. It was very powerful. It is very powerful. It probably still will be very powerful. Is it going to be nerfed enough that it'll be balanced? I don't know. The Japanese have always had an issue with turret traverse, and they want to try and address that. I think that's great. I always recommend the Japanese cruiser line as, what cruiser line do you think is great? The Japanese. Now, some people have come back to me and said, oh, the guns are great, but the traverse is terrible. And I completely understand that. That's sort of the weakness of the Japanese. They've got great torpedoes, great maneuverability, very easy to citadel if you can catch them out, but obviously turning is their greatest ally. And the turret traverse. The turret traverse works against their turn ability. I bet Wargaming is just like, this is just ridiculous. Every single line we make, we're getting it lower and lower and lower to keep people more interested in fighting in combat, going back and forth. They probably see that because the turret traverse is so slow, it's reducing people's ability to be aggressive, and yeah, we need to address that. So 6.4. We're going to have a patch out today. I will be on the public test server. The next video will probably be me on the public test server, maybe hotspot. I hope you'll be interested in that. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.